All right, hey, what's up, y'all? So I want to talk a little bit about why it's important to sleep. So we recently had a sleep workshop seminar. It was about an hour-long little deal. We went through a lot of educational information, then we had some processes and steps to improve duration and quality of sleep. And one of the first things that we talked about was why sleep is important. The name of the seminar is The Importance of Sleep, and the first part of that seminar is why is sleep important. And I think it's important to understand why sleep is important because it helps give us leverage to do the right thing when it comes to trying to improve duration and quality of sleep. Because I think most of us, for most of our lives, have probably heard sleep is important and beneficial, and at the same time, sleep is the first thing to get sacrificed. In our efforts to do better at school or our career or family obligations or even like with our health, we prioritize fitness and other health things before we do sleep. And it's actually giving us the opposite results of what we think it's doing. I don't think most of us understand how beneficial and important sleep is, because if we did, then we would probably make more of an effort to improve our sleep. I can remember a time when I was younger, I would pull all-nighters for school. I would pull all-nighters for work projects. And I would prioritize my fitness over everything. I mean, if I had a late night out or, a late night up studying or something, I would still get up and make myself work out. And now that I understand logically how important sleep is, and also I understand experientially how synergistic sleep is with all my other efforts in every area of my life, I never sacrifice my sleep. I rarely sacrifice my sleep. I am almost always going to get to bed on time, and I'm almost always going to facilitate good quality sleep by doing the things I need to do on a daily basis to make sure that happens. So it's the opposite. It's almost like sleep is prioritized before fitness and before other things, because the reality is I can go days, weeks, maybe even months without eating because of metabolic flexibility and the ability for my body to tap into fat stores for fuel. I can only go 2 or 3 days of not sleeping at all before it becomes completely deadly to my body. All right, so the reason sleep is important is because every physiological, biological, and psychological function depends on it. So everything about this body that's happening, this experience that we have in our waking life, is facilitated by what happens during sleep. And that includes the physical component and the mental and emotional component, and then all the different reactions that happen inside the body. And I think most of us can attest to some things that we would notice in ourselves and other people. When you have one night of poor sleep, you don't look good. Everyone can see it. Everyone can see it in you, and you can see it in other people. Okay, me and Colby come in almost every morning and we ask each other, how'd you sleep? And if I say good, then he can see it in my face. And if I say I did not sleep good, then he can see that in my face. And we acknowledge it with each other, all right? So we can see it in you, you can see it in us. And then after one night of poor sleep, you're in immediate insulin resistance, which means that you have blood sugar handling issues, which means that your appetite and cravings are going to be completely different. It doesn't matter how spot on you've been with things previously, one night of poor sleep, and you know this to be true, you have the urge to snack more, your appetite completely changes. And because of this blood sugar handling roller coaster that we're on, we start to experience a lot of emotional instability. We're moody, we're sensitive, we're reactive, and it's very difficult for us to focus. Also, you have a suppressed immune system. And in fact, anytime I ever get sick is usually because of a night of poor sleep or staying out late, having a few too many drinks, and not getting the sleep that I normally get. And then we start to see lowered sex steroid hormones. When you start to creep into having 3 or more nights of consistently bad sleep, which is where I know a lot of people are, then a lot of health issues start to increase. So you have a quadruple in your stroke risk. You have excess body fat that starts to accumulate because you have insulin resistance happening over and over and over, and in the presence of insulin resistance, it's very difficult for the body to tap into fat stores for fuel. And so you start to accumulate body fat. And you have a risk of diabetes, again, because of this increased duration of insulin resistance. You have inflammation, and most people would experience this and notice this. If they have consistently poor sleep, they start to experience it where they would normally experience pain, like maybe in their joints or some other areas where they have some kind of symptoms. And then you start to have a lowered sex drive, a lower libido, your fertility issues start to increase, and then you have a risk of death from all causes. So sleep is extremely important because this is where all the magic happens that facilitates what happens in our waking life, right? So we enhance during sleep from a brain perspective, a mental and emotional perspective. This is where we enhance our ability to learn, to memorize, and to make good decisions, because this is where the integration of our deep excavating and our deep memories and our REM sleep, our dreaming sleep, our virtual reality, where all that stuff is blended together. And then we also reset our emotions when we sleep. Again, we're talking about the brain and mental and emotional component. And this is because we need to navigate the next day's social challenges and psychological challenges, and sleep is where we kind of reset our emotions to be able to do that. And then sleep is also where we dream. And what we understand now, what we think we understand now, is that dreaming is where we have this virtual reality that kind of helps us integrate what's happening at our deeper levels of emotions and dreaming and memories. And we try to integrate that with what's happening in our waking life, and dreaming tries to integrate those two things together. So through the process of sleep and cycling through our different stages, then we start to clear out things that aren't serving us very well, and we start to blend the things that we keep with the things that are actually happening in our current experience. Now, from a physiological standpoint, a body standpoint, sleep is when the body restocks its immune system. So actually, this is the only time that it can actually fight malignancy and infection and sicknesses, because during the day, everything is full active and the priority is dealing with whatever's in front of us, right? It resets our metabolic state. So this is why fasting insulin and fasting glucose is such a really good measure of health, because if you have really good sleep and good quality sleep, then you're going to reset your metabolic state. You're going to have normal insulin levels. You're going to have normalized blood sugar. And this is extremely beneficial and useful for everything that happens in life. You know, everything that we mentioned before, like your emotional state, your appetite, your cravings, your body composition, everything that we're looking for from all our different health efforts comes from this physical recuperation and the resetting of our metabolic state. And then it helps to modulate our microbiome. So during the day, again, we're very active. There's a lot of input, a lot of sensory, a lot of food coming into the system. But in the evening, we don't have any food coming into the system, and we don't have all that activity. And so we can actually modulate the microbiome in a healthy way. And we start to see our cardiovascular health improve, because sleep is where we should have our lowest resting heart rate. All right, so we all know that diet and exercise are very important, but sleep is the thing that facilitates the benefits that come from exercise and proper real food and nutrition. So the big takeaways that we wanted people to understand is understanding how important sleep is and what it facilitates gives us leverage to try to do the right thing. Sleep is extremely important, and it's synergistic with all our other health efforts for sure. And we got to make sleep a priority, because if we don't, everything else in our life is suffering. And we have a ton of information on this topic in our resources over at our community website at community.superhumantransformation.com. You should check it out.